My name is Art Clemens. I am a candidate for president of Local 1 of the Service Employees International Union for the election to be held in September of 2017. In this speech, I want to point out a couple of things wrong with our union, and these are two of the main things. I would say that the number one problem that our local has is that elections are crooked. The rules are designed to make sure that people who actually work for a living cannot be elected to union office, and the people holding office now stay in there for life. In order for me to qualify to run against Tom Balanoff, I must circulate and turn in a petition with the signatures of 2% of the members of Local 1, and the union leadership is not going to provide a single name of even one member that I can ask for support, or even tell me the number I need to reach the 2%. This is according to Article 9 of the Local 1 Constitution. Local 1 covers an area that includes Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, Wisconsin, Missouri, and Ohio. Why it is called a local instead of a regional is beyond me. People who work for a living like me do not know very many union members. There are maybe 100 members where I work, and many of them are new employees who don't even know what the function of a union is. But the veterans know, and when the union allowed the company to bring in scabs to take our work 2 years in a row, they knew something was wrong, and they have signed a petition for me to be a candidate and urged me to run for president of our local. Other than people I know at work, I know very few members of our union to ask for support. Our local is spread out over many states, so it is basically impossible for me to ask for the support of 2% of the local members. If somebody were to actually obtain enough signatures to qualify to run for office, then there is the infamous Section 6 of Article 9 of our local Constitution, to make sure that the majority of the membership cannot be reached by a challenger in order for the challenger to ask for support. Let me read Section 6 of Article 9 of the Local 1 Constitution for you, and I quote, Section 6. Each eligible candidate for office shall have a right once within 30 days prior to any election in which he is a candidate to inspect a list containing the names and last known addresses of all members of the local union. Such inspection must be made in the presence of the Secretary-Treasurer or his designee. End quote. As you can see, a person running for Local 1 office, first of all, has to make an expensive trip to Chicago, and the trip must be made less than 30 days before the election. And the candidate can only see a list of members one time, and he or she must have a guardian present who represents the union establishment, who will be hounding the candidate to hurry up and read the list. No pictures or videos allowed, no copying of names, and then the candidate must figure out how to find a way to reach the majority of members in order to persuade them to vote for him or her in less than 30 days. So you can see this rule is just totally ridiculous. Now let's talk about a little bit about another problem the union has, namely the outrageous salaries that our Local 1 leaders make. According to public records I have found on the internet at a website called Union Facts, Local 1 has a payroll of well over $8 million for somewhere around 180 union employees, plus benefits that average over $10,000 per employee. I'm lucky if I make $10,000 a year at my union job. Tom Balanoff, the president, makes over $200,000 a year. Nancy Cross, who is vice president here in St. Louis, makes over $120,000 a year. Do any of these union officials do any janitorial work? Of course not. The people who do janitorial work, like you and me, are the ones who work and toil and pay union dues, so these fat cats can make these huge salaries without doing any physical work. So what kind of work do union officials do? Let me give you a few examples from the list from unionfacts.com. Please be advised that the names and salaries of the people I mentioned might not be up to date, since the list is from 2013 and some of the people on the list may have retired or quit. Plus, there may be new people added to the list. One thing for sure is that the salaries of the people I know to be working for Local 1 have not gone down since 2013. Unions are also required to report salary and other information to the U.S. Department of Labor, and I will be checking their files and getting back to you when I research the files. Let us look at one union executive, namely Kathleen Benton. I could not find a picture of her anywhere on the internet. It appears that she started working for the union in 2013. Her first year, she was paid a salary of $88,000 plus expense and an expense account of $7,500. The only thing I could find out about what she does is that she works in the office. The $7,500 she gets paid for expenses is pretty close to what I usually make at my union job for a year. Of course, I only work a half a year. I work at Busch Stadium, and I only work 6 months of the year. Now let's look at Jill McDonald. I know her personally from trying to recover an overcharge of dues that were charged to myself and my union brothers and sisters at Busch Stadium, which we did not get back. I know she does not do much except hang around the office. She certainly does not do any janitorial work. She gets paid $43,000 a year. I don't know of any janitor that makes that much money. Now let's take a look at my union rep, Kevin Oliver. He's the one who gave his permission to the company to bring scabs in to take work away from me and my union brothers and sisters at Busch Stadium this year. He calls me up and wants me to go out and demonstrate in the street for $15 an hour, minimum wage for everybody. I am not paid to demonstrate in the street, but he is, so I do this, and then he turns around and helps the company bring in scabs to make sure that I don't make $18 an hour for overtime work. I only get $12 an hour for regular time work. Some people call him the scab man. Oliver made $18,000 a year working for the union in 2004, but by 2013 he was making well over $60,000 a year. So his salary has more than tripled in 10 years. If there is anybody in our local doing janitorial work whose salary has tripled in the last 10 years, I would like to know who they are. We are lucky to get 35 cents an hour raise a year. There are 30 people on this employee list whose job title is lost time. Just exactly what lost time is, I don't have a clue. It appears from the definition I found on the internet put out by the U.S. government. This term means that people who engage in union work and miss work at the job they are working or used to work are reimbursed for their efforts. In conclusion, it appears to me that Local 1 is way overstaffed and overpaid and does not do any physical work, while rank and file members work hard doing work that is not always pleasant. It is time for the hard-working members of our union to put an end to paying high salaries to lazy deadbeats and put in some new leadership that will trim the fat of our local budget and return powers to the workers. I figure we can save $5 million on salaries to people that work in offices and turn around and use this to either increase increase pensions or reduce dues. My contact information is I can be reached by email at lawscan2001@yahoo.com. If anybody has any questions or comments about this speech, let me know. If you have want to report to me any problems you're having with the union, let me know, and I'll try and put it on the internet on this channel so others can see it. Thank you for your consideration.